Hello, thank you for joining us today for the next webinar in our What's New series. In today's webinar, we'll cover some of the newest features in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business, as well as covering some brand new features that are coming up from the beginning of next year that just give us a bit of an insight into the future. Don't feel like you need to make notes or take it all in straight away, as we'll be sending out a recording of this webinar and a follow-up fact sheet later today. Also, if you have any questions, please do feel free to drop those into the Q&A box at the side at any time. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those as we go along, but there will also be some dedicated time at the end of the webinar as well. So let's have a look at our agenda for today. We'll be starting off by looking at the new voice isolation in Teams calls to remove background noise. We'll be looking at more features that have been added to Copilot in Microsoft Teams. There are new organisational features coming to Teams Chat and Teams Channels, and also changes to Microsoft Planner and To Do, as well as preparing for a new look to your Teams meetings, which will be coming in January. So be prepared for coming back from Christmas and seeing your Teams meetings in a slightly different way. Finally, we'll be finishing with a look at what's next for this webinar series, and also the next steps that you can take in your business to start implementing some of these changes. A quick introduction to those of you who may not have met us before. My name's Jennifer Benge and I'm the Marketing Manager at Bedroq. Bedroq is an IT managed service provider and Microsoft Solutions partner for modern work. This means that most of the IT that we implement is based on the Microsoft stack. So this includes apps such as Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure, etc. If you'd like to know more about what being a solutions partner means for you and how we can support you, just take a look at our website and there's various information on there as well. We're also experts in secure, resilient networks and managed IT solutions where high performance is critical. So this means that we work with organisations that have some of the highest security requirements in the UK and are also highly regulated. We manage mission critical IT and operational technology for those highly regulated organisations. The most important thing we want to achieve, no matter what your organisation does, is to make sure that your IT strategy is supporting your business as a whole. And we do this with the help of our 8 strategic rocks that you can see on the screen here. These are skills, data, backup, strategy, investment, security, quality of service, and collaboration. The collaboration rock is the focus of this webinar series, as the tools that we're talking about here in Microsoft 365 are collaboration tools. And we just want to make sure that if you're investing into that kind of technology, you're getting the best use out of it. So let's kick off. The first new feature we're going to talk about today is the new feature that's coming to Microsoft Teams calls, which will prevent background noise from interrupting your meetings or phone calls. So on the left is a screenshot of the options that you currently have for reducing background noise in your calls and meetings. Just a quick reminder of how this works, just in case you're not sure. Noise suppression allows you to cut down on background noise to varying degrees. So you can see on this screenshot here, there's options from low to high, or you can turn it off completely. Auto is the default option and allows teams to choose the best level of noise suppression for your current situation. So if you wanted to use the low noise suppression, that would work to suppress low levels of background noise, which would include things like an air conditioning unit, for example. But it would allow other meeting participants to hear things such as music in the background. So if you wanted people to hear that level of background noise, you would choose the low option. If you choose high noise suppression, that's best for noisy offices where you've got other people on phone calls around you, other people having conversations, and you want to cut out as much of that as you possibly can. So you can currently turn on noise suppression or change the level in the settings menu. To do that, all you need to do is go to settings, then devices, and you'll find it in there with that drop-down menu. You can also change these settings while you're actually on a call. So if someone mentions that they can hear quite a lot of background noise on your call, you can go to that menu and change the settings while you're in the call without leaving it. Someone's already asked, does voice isolation work for those using MS calling plans? Right, let's get to the voice isolation part then. But short answer is yes, voice isolation will apply for everyone using Teams and on normal MS calls packages. So the new feature, which you can see screenshotted here on the right, is voice isolation. With voice isolation, Teams recognises your voice and suppresses any other noises around you to ensure that you're the only one that can be heard on any meetings or even on unscheduled calls as well. So the information that we have on this so far is that there will be a brief sort of enrolment process in which the AI in Teams will begin to recognise your voice. So I don't know if any of you have gone through a process with your banking, for example, where they're using your voice as a security feature to unlock your information. I imagine it will be a similar process to that, where you just have to say a set few phrases, and Teams will then recognise your voice and use that recognition to make sure that that is the only voice that is projected across your calls and meetings. So the difference between the two is noise suppression masks your background noise, but voice isolation will completely filter out other voices. So making sure that your voice is the only one that's heard. So again, if you're sitting in a noisy office, there's lots of other people on calls, even if you're at home and you've got children running around making noise, it will just help to make sure that you're the only voice that is heard on those Teams calls and Teams meetings. So voice isolation will be added to Teams Phone and Teams meetings, and this will be available in early 2024. That's the only information we've got about the launch date so far, so we will keep an eye out on when this is actually available, and just give you a reminder to make sure that you're using it and talk you through that enrolment process once we know more about it as well. So that's a new feature to look out for, which will just help make your Teams calls and meetings even slicker. Right, next up, we have some more information about updating Copilot in Teams. So last month, we had our first look at how Copilot will work with Whiteboard in Teams meetings. And this month, we've got a bit more information on that, so we're going to start there. So Copilot will be able to visualize spoken points and organize them in Whiteboard while you're talking. So it will help you to turn meeting participants' spoken ideas and topics into a visual collaboration space in the whiteboard. And this will be shared across all of those meeting participants as well. If you get to the point in the discussion where you're perhaps running out of ideas, you could use Copilot to suggest more based on the suggestions that you've already had. So you give it the list of ideas that have come up, and you then use that to ask Copilot to give you more ideas. So as you can see on this example on the screen, you can see that Copilot takes a list of bullet point ideas that it has summarised for you and displays them visually in the whiteboard during the meeting. The captured content in Whiteboard lives on after the meeting as a Microsoft Whiteboard file. So that will be accessible via Teams, OneDrive for Business, and directly in the Whiteboard app. And this capability will be coming available in early 2024 for users with a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. Next up in our Copilot updates for Teams. In this example, we're looking at how the collaborative notes feature in Copilot works, which again is something we've talked about briefly, but we're just getting more and more information about this from Microsoft all the time, so I want to keep sharing it with you. So this is more detail on how that collaborative notes feature will work. Copilot in Teams meetings will be able to take notes in real time and share them across all meeting participants. So collaborative notes are loop components which will stay in sync across all the places that they've been shared. When these are enabled in the meeting, Copilot will automatically take live notes in the meeting notes section, so attendees can just focus on the discussion without having to type up their own notes or quickly remember dates and tasks that they need to do. These notes will then be shared across all meeting participants during and after the meeting. So as you can see on the screen here, you'll also be able to ask for more specific notes. So the example they've given here is capture what Miguel said about how customer priorities and deadlines in the Ask Copilot feature. So if you do that, Copilot will then write the specific requested information into the meeting notes. Again, this capability will be available early next year for users with a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. The last update that we've got for Copilot in Teams, I have to say, is probably my least favourite option, my least favourite of the new features, or perhaps just the least useful in my opinion. So this feature is where you'll be able to use Copilot to help you write your Teams chat messages. So you can see in the example here, you'll be able to write some basic points into the chat box and then use the Copilot AI to amend your message by rewriting the content completely or just adjusting the tone. So to do that, you'll just need to enter your draft content into the content box, whether that's in a meeting chat or a Teams chat or a channel. And then Copilot will just be able to help you reconstruct that. You can choose to rewrite the message, adjust the tone to be more casual, professional, confident, enthusiastic, and you can also modify the length of the message before you send it. To me, this just doesn't seem like it's going to save you masses of time compared to just writing the message yourself. I think some of the new Copilot features that we're seeing coming out will be able to save you a lot of admin time and really will speed up some of those more boring processes. Whereas a feature like this, I kind of just think it's a Teams message. It's not meant to be completely publishable. It's just a quick message. So I don't see why you need AI to help you construct that. But perhaps some of you have different feelings about that. Let me know in the chat if you think this feature would be useful to you, or if you kind of share my view of this is one of the less exciting features. But it is good to know it's coming. It's good to know it's available if this is a feature that would interest you. Wow, we've got a few questions coming in already on all of this. So let me just have a quick scan through so we're not leaving them all to the end. So someone's saying, I understand Copilot is only possible for large corporations. It is at the moment. So Copilot across all of the Microsoft apps is only currently available for organizations that have over 300 users that will be getting licenses for it. That will be changing. Obviously, they're doing it across all different kinds of organizations, and that will be coming out later next year. We're yet to have any updates on the exact timeline for that, but as soon as I do know that, I will share that with you. Someone else has said, how will voice isolation work to isolate air conditioning noise in a shared meeting room, but also allow multiple voices to be heard? I think that's one of those times where you would just stick with the noise suppression feature. So if there's multiple people all sharing the same microphone in a Teams meeting room, you would all just need to stick with what you're currently doing to cut out background noise, but also to allow all voices to be heard. It's the voice isolation feature is more for if it's just you in a room and you just want your voice to be heard on that particular time. But again, we'll hear more information about how voice isolation will work alongside the other noise suppression features as well when that comes out early next year. Someone else has mentioned that some of the voice recognition features that banks are using, they're changing how they do that. I think it's just the same AI technology that we'll be using, that Microsoft will be using to isolate your voice in this instance, to make sure that you can be heard on your Teams calls. Okay, I'm going to move on a bit because we've got so many questions coming in. I will make sure I get back to them at the end. I just want to make sure that we cover the rest of the information that we've got in today's webinar. Yeah, I'll come back to those at the end. So next up in our new features that we need to cover is simplified notifications in your Teams meetings and your Teams app. So for this update, we're back to just standard Teams. You don't need Copilot for this. The quick pace of conversations and notifications that you get sometimes with Teams can make it really difficult to keep up. So this new feature is quite simple. It will just allow you to clear notifications with a single click in the activity menu. So this will help you mark as read all notifications at once. So often we end up with lots of extra notifications that we don't really need and they don't require our input. It's just, you know, if you're part of lots of different channels within Teams that are all constantly having conversations, your notifications can get quite overwhelming quite quickly. So this will just allow you to pick out the ones that you want to read first, and then you can select the rest to say mark all as read. We've also been told there are more new features like this coming in the new year that will help you to simplify your Teams app and also include intuitive notification settings that are more tailored to your needs. So essentially, there's more controls coming that will help you sort through all the noise that you get and allow you to focus more directly on your most important notifications. So this capability, again, is coming in January 2024. So keep an eye out for this if you want to be able to tidy up all of your notifications in one fell swoop. Another simple update coming to Teams is that you will have the flexibility to change and select your default emoji reactions in your Teams chat, as well as reducing the number of reactions in your interface. So if you find yourself using a lot of emojis to reply to your notifications or searching through to find your favorites, this feature will just allow you to simply click on the reaction or emoji that you've set up as a default and just send that whenever and however many times you like. This capability will be coming in early 2024. I have to say, I've been becoming quite a big emoji user myself. I think we all are within Bedroq at the moment, quickly answering with an emoji. So that's just a nice little feature that will allow you to pick your favorite defaults to reply to messages there. Organising your Teams channels. We're moving on to that as our next feature. So this is another fairly simple update, this time to help you manage your Teams channels. This will help you to easily manage the channels in your list in Teams and allow you to focus on the ones that matter most to you, that you're perhaps working on at this current point, that you're most involved in. When you're starting a new collaboration space, you will be prompted to create a channel, and then when you're joining an existing team, you will also be able to choose only the channels within that team that you would like to show that are the most relevant to you. At the moment, if you wanted to tidy up your channels a bit, you only have the option to delete them out of that team. This new update will give you the ability to make a channel an archived channel. So when a channel is no longer active or relevant, you can archive the channel, but it will be hidden and closed for further action, but it will still exist. So you can still access the information within that channel if at some point in the future you wanted to revisit it. So this capability will be coming again early 2024. So again, it's a nice simple way to be able to tidy up your teams and channels within those teams, just to making sure that you're not kind of constantly scrolling through lots of dead channels that aren't giving you the information you need anymore. You'll be able to archive those off, so it's just easier to see all of the channels that you really want to see in one view. Updates to Planner. I know there are a few of you in here we've discussed before that do use Planner and the to-do apps, so this will be relevant to you. Microsoft is integrating the features of Microsoft To Do, Microsoft Planner, Microsoft Project for the web, and Microsoft Copilot into a unified experience. So I think this just makes a lot of sense because each of those separate Planner and To Do apps is very similar, but ever so slightly different. So hopefully Microsoft are going to combine all of the best bits of each of those into one clean, easy to use app. And as with any of these planning and project management tools, the more people that are using the same tool, the easier it is to manage large projects that lots of people are involved in. So with this new simplified planner app, you'll be able to find the tasks you need right when you need them. You'll be able to manage all your tasks, to-do lists, plans and projects across Microsoft 365 in one simple to use, familiar experience. So it looks very similar to the old planner and to-do apps. It's just integrating all of those best bits into one and combining them all. So we're not left with multiple different planning and to-do apps. This new planner app will allow you to work the way you and your teams want to. So it will allow you to manage individual task management all the way up to large team initiatives. You can choose from an array of templates, views and approaches, including lists, boards, timelines and sprints to personalize your plan. So you'll be able to get a big picture view on what you need to configure, what you need to plan, and how you can extend and automate this in the new planner as well. So this is actually going to be built on the Microsoft Power Platform, and it will be customized to deliver reporting through Microsoft Power BI, and you'll also be able to configure workflows through Microsoft Power Automate as well. So we're moving all towards that more automated feel to just make things simpler again, taking away some of those more boring admin tasks. It will also integrate with Microsoft Viva Goals, which we've talked about previously, and that will allow you to connect your KPIs or your objectives as a team into your plan as well, so you can keep everything in a simple, high visibility workflow. So when can you expect these changes? And if you are using the existing planner and to-do apps, what do you need to be ready for? So the current tasks by planner and to-do app in Teams will be renamed to planner anytime now. We've been told it would happen in November. It hasn't happened yet, at least not in my Teams app. You can see at the top of the screen here, there's a notification bar that I get when I click on the planner app in Teams. That's all I get at the moment, is just a notification saying the name will be changing, but it hasn't happened yet. Other things to be ready for are the new planner app. It will be generally available in spring 2024. That will be available in Teams. The web experience of the new planner will be generally available later on in 2024. And Microsoft Project for the web features will be available in the new Planner app in Teams and the Planner web app later in 2024 as well. So they're gradually combining all of those features into that app as we go along, but just be prepared that if you are using those existing apps already, you might notice the name change. That's the first main change that's going to happen. You're not going to lose any of your existing plans or projects. Okay, our next new update to look for is an update that's coming early next year again, which will change the way your gallery looks during Teams meetings. So participant tiles will have a 16:9 aspect ratio. This means that, well, Microsoft say this means that you'll get a better experience when people are turning their videos on and off without the shapes and sizes of everyone's videos jumping around so much. And it will also provide more visibility for body language and hand gestures. So be prepared, if you're not using a background, you might have more of your background visible during your meetings. Other main changes that are going to come to this, that are coming from this as well, is that audio and video attendees will share the same space by default. So currently, audio only attendees are kind of pushed off the view in favour of the video view. That won't happen with this. They will share the same space by default. Meeting rooms will be displayed larger than individual participants. So if you've got a meeting that are joining together and then lots of individual participants, the meeting room will have a bigger space on that gallery screen. And also, this is quite a big change. Your own tile will be included next to the rest of the participants. So instead of appearing as a small little square at the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting, you will just appear in the gallery view alongside everybody else. I didn't like that update, but fear not, you will be able to customize that so it doesn't happen. So that does include the customizations do include hiding your own tile from that gallery view. So you'll have the option to do that so that you won't appear and it's quite distracting sort of looking at yourself while you're talking. So you'll have the option for that not to happen. The other customizations that will be available are gallery size. You'll be able to choose the number of participants that will be represented per page. So that would basically, if you want lots of participants on show, there'll just be smaller tiles. If you choose a smaller number, there'll be larger tiles. You can also choose to prioritize your video participants over audio only. So the thing that happens as standard at the moment, you'll have to just select that as a different option because that won't be default. And you'll also be able to resize the meeting room tile that we spoke about earlier to be the same size as the rest of the participants. So if you don't want one meeting room to dominate that gallery view, you can make sure that everyone is equally sized on that gallery screen. So these changes are due to come into play in January. So we'll be ready to keep an eye on that in January and update you in January's webinar if it's available by then. So we can actually talk you through step by step how you make some of those changes, because I think that's quite a big thing to kick off the year with, that you will notice big changes to your gallery view in Teams meetings. And we just want to make sure if you do want to make some of those customizations that you'll be able to make those and know where to look to do that. So we'll keep an eye on that for you and update you as soon as we have more information. Okay, quickly before I head into the Q&A section, because we have a lot of Q&As to get through and not much time, I just wanted to remind you about our 8 Rocks assessment, which is, as I spoke about the 8 Rocks earlier, where we'll come in to your business and help you review each of those elements to make sure that your IT strategy is supporting your business strategy. If you are interested in taking part in one of those assessments, then just get in touch with us. We're happy to talk you through how that would work and the outcomes that you can expect from that as well. Okay, let's get on to some Q&A because there are lots to get through. I'm going to work through from the top. The Copilot features, someone's asking about the Copilot licensing. Yep, Copilot licensing is a separate per user license for each of the people you want to be using those Copilot features on top of your standard Microsoft 365 licensing. So anyone that you want to be able to access those features and use those features will require a Copilot license. And as I said earlier, at the moment, only organizations with 300 or more users can actually get hold of those licenses. We're going to be finding out as soon as possible when Microsoft will be planning the next release of the next level of licensing. So as soon as we have that information, we'll let you know. How will voice isolation? Oh, we've covered the voice isolation one. Let's just publish that quickly. Someone's having a laugh. Can noise suppression be used to cut out the more boring people in meetings? You wish. Unfortunately, AI is not that clever yet. That's something that's maybe more of an HR issue than tech at this point in time. But you never know. Let's have a look. We've got a few more questions. Someone says, we've been advised a couple of weeks back that New Teams wasn't really stable enough for general use yet, but wondered if you'd heard it's more stable now. This is something actually we discussed in last month's webinar as well. So yeah, we've been having similar issues with the New Teams. There's all kinds of little bugs that are just quite annoying with it at the moment. So for example, we've noticed that people's status is often showing wrong. So you can avoid calling someone because it looks like they're busy or in a meeting, when in actual fact they're open and ready to take a call. So just annoying little features like that mean that we're hoping New Teams will get ironed out pretty quickly, because there's some features, live events as well, for example, that we're in right now don't work terribly well in the new version of Teams. So yeah, definitely we agree. We've been noticing issues, same as you, and we do regularly go back to the classic Teams actually at the moment, just while Microsoft are still ironing out those issues. So if you wanted to sort of learn more about the new Teams, we did discuss it in last month's webinar, so find that on our YouTube page. But yeah, definitely as soon as those issues are ironed out with new Teams, I think it'll be smooth sailing. But for now, yeah, we've definitely noticed the same issues. With this integration of To-Do Planner into MS Teams, what will happen to the dedicated applications? Will they remain? So the dedicated applications will all be combined eventually into this one new Planner app. It is quite confusing because Microsoft are replacing the Planner app with an app called Planner. It will be a new version that integrates all of those features into one. So I think To-Do will eventually just sort of become the Planner app as well. But as soon as we have more information on when an application such as To-Do will kind of stop working, we'll let you know that as well. I think that's everything I can kind of cover on the call. We've got a few more that I'll try and get back to people separately about, because there's a few more kind of in-depth questions. Please do feel free to join us again next month. These webinar series will be continuing, so please do feel free to join us in January. The next webinar will be on the 11th of January, just to give everyone a bit more time to get back into the swing of things in the new year. Craig's kindly publishing a link for that in the chat right now, so just click that link to sign up straight away if you'd like to join us again on the 11th of January. Really hope to see you there. And for everyone else that has a question today, I will be getting back to you separately, or feel free to reply to the email that we're sending out later today with the recording and the fact sheet, and we can put you in touch with one of our more technical experts as well to help you with any questions that you may have. So the only thing left for me to do is to say Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate. I hope to see you again in January. Have a really happy new year. And thank you very much for joining us today. Hope to see you again in January. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye.